This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. Just consider this your vitamin and supplement for your mind, your heart, and your soul. Hey friends, wherever you go to download this podcast, would you mind subscribing? And then I would really appreciate it if you'd leave an honest review. It just will help. The more reviews there are, the more listens that there are, the more that it's listened to, more folks will be able to find this podcast. Thanks for being with me today. I'm going to talk on this podcast and the next one about how do you define leadership. Everyone seems to talk about it. We all assume that we all know what we're talking about, but have you ever really sat down to define it? In the next episode, I'm going to talk more about definitions, but let me just run one definition by you and then list a few things that I believe is entailed in leadership that hardly anyone will ever talk about, but they're important and necessary and really crucial to leading. Someone said it is greatness, or really ourselves extended to others, is what leadership is. A mother is a great leader when she extends herself for her family. A dad is a great leader when he extends himself and does the job and shows up and is supportive in all ways of their children. It's not just greatness in achieving big financial goals or your company being successful. All of us are leading and in some area of our lives. And so rather than greatness, just think of it as you extending yourself to others. I think some are under a false impression that leadership is all about the leader and what everyone can do to make the leader's life better and what accolades can everyone give to the leader. But when you're in a leadership position, you really should stop thinking about how is this going to benefit me and how can I make life better for others? How can I see our cause go forward? How can I make a difference where we are and where I am? And so before we really get into definitions, could I just tell you some things that are involved from my perspective and some things that it really takes in your life if you're going to be a leader? And the first one is resolve. The leader has to believe in what they're doing. You just have to. I heard it a long time ago, and I don't even know who said it, but I've used it very, very often. When I am trying to lead a group, especially in an area of change or vision casting, one thing I have understood is if I want my group, my crowd, to catch a cold, then I'd better have pneumonia. Because when you are the leader, you have to believe it. People will know. There's a sixth sense. There's almost an ability to smell inauthenticity. And if you're going to be a leader, it really takes resolve. You have to make up your mind. You have to burn all the bridges behind you. There can't be any retreat or defeat. We're going to move ahead. I am committed and I believe in what I'm doing. So if you're going to be a leader, you have to lead in an area where you're committed and you believe in what you're doing and you believe in the cause and you're resolved to make a difference. There's one thing that leadership entails that I hear talked about rather infrequently, and that is the fact that if you're going to be a leader, it will involve heartache. I could also use a companion word, loneliness. You see, there are times as a leader, you know things that you can't tell everyone. There are even times, because of the confidential nature of things, you're not even completely and adequately able to even defend yourself. And sometimes that will give you heartache. If your leading involves working with other people and people make poor or wrong decisions, it can lead to a lot of heartache. And so you had better just get ready. That heartache, loneliness, and pain. And you'll think, Dr. Ron, thanks for sharing this word of encouragement. It's not meant to discourage you. It's really meant as a reality check in that it's not all rose-strewn pathways and bonus checks and applause. You're going to get your heart broken if you lead, but it's okay. It's okay. There is no pain-free life. Just remember that if you're the leader, there will be heartache, there'll be loneliness, there'll be disappointment. Let me tell you another thing that leadership will deliver to the leader in large amounts, and that is nearly a daily dose of humility. Just about the time you think you have it all figured out, just about the time you think you are an expert, just about the time that you think, I really have this all figured out, and aren't these people fortunate to have a leader like me, something rises up that brings you down and causes you to see things totally different in a different way. And leadership will humble the best of people. Get used to being humbled. Get used to having to ask for forgiveness. Get used to saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong, please forgive me, I love you. And leadership, very few things in life will deliver you almost a daily dose of humility, like being the leader of something. There's another thing that I've discovered in leadership down through the years, and that is leadership offers us a relentless opportunity to grow. If you're going to be a leader, you are going to have to grow, and you're going to have to grow and stretch relentlessly. I became a pastor in December of 1981. If you're counting, that's nearly 38 years ago. The growth that has happened in my life over those 38 years is exponential. It's not because I'm such a great leader. It's just the world changes, the culture changes, your circumstance change, and you have to be constantly growing, constantly learning. As a Christian, you have to be constantly praying and trusting God because you've never been where you are today. A seminary professor in about 1980 or 81 challenged our class to be real, voracious leaders. And somehow it captured my mind in that class that day, and I committed to being a reader. As a matter of fact, as a home mission pastor not making very much money, I was a member of a religious book club where I bought a new book a month. But this professor at seminary challenged us to read 100 books. You should have heard the moaning and groaning that day in class, because you might as well have said, climb the tallest mountain in an hour. It seemed impossible. But he told us if we would every day read for 30 to 50 minutes in a year, you could read 100 books. And I took that challenge, and when the first full year of pastoring in 1982, from 1982 to 2019, I have read a minimum of 100 books a year. Now, since I've gone to an electronic reading device, which I highly suggest, and I am not getting any residuals from this, I would recommend a Kindle. I just looked up in my Kindle Cloud account, I have over 27,000 highlighted passages from those books. And one of the things that it has helped me is you just learn things, you grow, you find things that challenge you, you find things that help. And if speaking in public is a part of your leadership, by continually reading, you will have something to say. Also down through those years, most of those years, I've read through the entire Bible in a year. If you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to face relentless growth. You have to continue to grow. Don't attempt to lead anything if you're not committed to relentless growth. Coming to the idea that I will never, ever arrive. Let me tell you another thing that will happen to you if you choose to be a leader, and that is you will have frequent failures. I've mentioned this on a previous podcast, but rarely do great speakers on leadership ever talk much about their failures. But where I am in my life, as I look back, I have to confess today that the lessons that have been driven the most deeply into my heart and mind and soul have been the lessons I learned from failures and mistakes. You know, we all think that we just go from one victory after another, but some of the greatest victories have come out of defeat and the discouragement that followed it. And for sure, one thing I learned was I learned how not to do something. And many times, friends, that's the most valuable lesson that you can learn, how not to do something. Let me tell you another attitude to take into leadership, and that is don't ever get contented with where you are. Don't become a coaster. Don't just think I'll go into autopilot and I'll just sort of coast along here. Everything is running like a well-oiled machine. I'm not saying go out of your way to make trouble or to create havoc or to start problems. But if you're going to be a leader, you look around and see people's lives or circumstances and situations and allow yourself to develop a spirit of discontent with the way things are in this world. There are a lot of things wrong in this world, and don't just give up or throw your hands up or say, well, that's too bad. Allow a holy discontent to bubble up within you. One thing that has to happen if you're a leader, you have to offer all of who I am for others and for the benefit of God, for the benefit of the world. Don't hold back. I mean, when you come into something, give it all you have. Now, here's another thing I'm going to leave you in closing. There are no warning signs on the road of life. Oh, how often I have wished there were warning signs that would have said, hey, Ron, you are getting ready to go into a serious trial. Hey, Ron, things are not going to work well. You better batten down the hatches. And since there are no warning signs in life, what I've learned is every day you must get prepared. Every day be resolved. Every day realize you're going to be served a warm dish of humility before the night falls. Give yourself to relentless growth and allow circumstances and, more importantly, God to stretch you. Yes, you're going to fail a lot of times, but you're not a failure. You're not a failure until you give up. Don't give up. Dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep heading forward. We need you in the game. You, my friend, are a difference maker. You are a leader. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, and productivity. Consider this a vitamin and a supplement for your mind. Please download or subscribe, rather, to this podcast, and please leave a review. God bless you. Have a great day. Make a difference because you are the difference. And I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.